The music was too loud for a place like this. Elena spun in the center of the vast room, eyes closed, arms out, moving like no one was watching, because no one ever was. Her earbuds stayed firmly in place, drowning the silence with rhythm. She was halfway through the pirouette when she froze mid-motion. Someone was behind her. Slowly, she turned, and there he was. Liam Blackthorne. Suit jacket off, shirt sleeves rolled up, standing by the entrance of the room like a storm waiting to happen. He didn't speak. His expression gave nothing away. Elena's heart pounded against her ribs like it was trying to escape. I'm sorry, she breathed, yanking out one of the earbuds. I didn't know anyone was home. He still didn't answer. He stared at her as if trying to understand something he'd never seen before. Then, quietly, he stepped forward. Just once. Not threatening, not harsh, just close enough that she could see how tired his eyes looked. What's your name? His voice was calm, flat, like every word was measured. Elena, she said, still breathless. He nodded once. Don't stop dancing because of me. And then he walked past her without another word, heading down the hallway, disappearing into the cold shadows of the penthouse. She stood there, frozen, stunned, and wondering if she'd just imagined the entire thing. The next day, something strange happened. When she arrived for work, the other housekeeper, Mara, was glaring at her like she'd done something illegal. Elena! Mara hissed. Mr. Blackthorne called the staff manager. You've been reassigned. You're his new personal assistant. Elena blinked. What? I've been working here 5 years? Mara muttered bitterly. You've been here 3 weeks. Elena was escorted to the top floor office. Everything smelled like steel and old books. Liam wasn't in sight, but his desk was littered with file folders and handwritten notes. A manila envelope sat at the edge of the table with her name on it. Inside, a new work ID, a substantial pay raise contract, and a note, handwritten in sharp, deliberate print. Your time is no longer wasted with cleaning. Effective immediately, you'll work under me. First task, organize the files on my desk. I'll know if you don't do it right. No signature, just silence. She didn't understand it. Why would a man like that notice someone like her? Still, she didn't question it, not yet. 3 days passed before she saw him again. She'd memorized the layout of his office, moved files, taken calls, but the air in that place never got warmer. Then, on the 4th night, as she was finishing up, she heard music again. Low, delicate. The same song she had danced to days ago. The speakers in the corner of the room had come to life, the melody drifting through the space like a secret invitation. Slowly, like she was being pulled by invisible strings, she turned around. Liam stood in the doorway watching. You said not to stop dancing, she said, trying to keep her voice from shaking. I meant it, she laughed nervously. You don't seem like someone who listens to this kind of music. I don't, he said, but I've been trying to understand why you move like that. Like you're hiding something and setting it free at the same time. The words caught her off guard. She didn't know what to say. Then he stepped closer. One dance, he said. Just one right now. Show me what you really were before this. Elena hesitated. Why? His jaw tightened. Because I don't remember the last time something stopped me in my tracks. She danced. Not perfectly. She was rusty, and her feet ached by the end. But when the music ended, she stood in front of him, flushed and breathless. He hadn't looked away once. You weren't always a maid, he said softly. No, I used to be a dancer, she admitted. Got injured, had to pay bills. Life got real. His eyes lingered on hers. So why dance in my house? Because it's the only place no one tells me to stop. He nodded once. Starting tomorrow, you'll come in 1 hour earlier. I want you to use that time to dance. For yourself, that wasn't a request. It was a command, but one that wrapped around her ribs and made her want to cry for reasons she didn't understand. The next morning, she found a pair of custom dance shoes waiting for her on the bench. Her exact size. That's when the fear crept in. How did he know? Over the next week, Liam was everywhere, watching, listening, never getting too close, but never far either. He started asking personal questions in passing. Where did you train? What did it feel like to lose it? Do you think you'll ever go back? She answered honestly. It was the only way he seemed to tolerate anyone. One night, as she walked toward the exit, she heard her name. Elena. He was in the corner of the room in the shadows again. watching. "Come here," she approached cautiously. His expression was unreadable. "You said you danced because no one told you not to," he said. "So I'm telling you now, don't stop." She swallowed. "Why are you doing this?" "I had someone," he said. She danced, too, but she didn't know how to stop for anything. Not even the car that hit her. Elena's breath caught. There it was. The cold shell cracked wide open. "I'm not her," she said quietly. "No," he said. "But you move like you might be the first thing I've seen since her that still feels alive." That night, Elena lay awake staring at the ceiling, unsure if she'd just been offered a dream or a prison disguised as one. The next day, she arrived early. The room was already lit. The music already playing. He'd been waiting. From that day forward, it wasn't about dancing anymore. It was about him watching. About the way the air changed when he walked in. About the way her heartbeat skipped for reasons that had nothing to do with rhythm. About how the man the world called heartless had begun to unravel, only around her. And she didn't know if she wanted to stop it. Her old locker was cleaned out and replaced with a private room next to the music chamber. Her favorite tea now brewed fresh in the break room every morning, before she even asked for it. She overheard the driver say Liam had canceled all his evening meetings for the next week, though she never saw him leave the penthouse. And every night, at exactly 6:05 p.m., the music started to play. She danced, he watched. At first, she told herself it was just harmless curiosity. A rich man with a broken past, fascinated by something familiar. But that illusion shattered the night she found the red envelope. It was left on the piano bench, her name handwritten in black ink. Inside, one sentence. "You remind me of her. But if you are her, then you know exactly what I need from you." Her fingers trembled. Elena tried to dismiss it. Maybe it wasn't meant for her. Maybe this was his way of grieving, projecting someone else's ghost onto her. But then why did he look at her like he was waiting for something more? The next morning, Liam summoned her to the rooftop garden. She'd never been up there before. He was sitting at the edge of a water feature, sleeves rolled, jacket off again. The wind tugged gently at his collar, but his eyes were sharp as razors. "Do you know why I brought you up here?" "No," she answered truthfully. "I like altitude," he said. "It reminds me how far I've climbed, and how fast I could fall if I let anyone close." She didn't reply. "I used to think I was untouchable," he said, standing. "And then I met someone who danced like you do, exactly like you do. You even breathe like her when you stop." "Liam," she said cautiously. "You're not her, I know that. But it's not about that anymore." He stepped closer. "Now I want to see what you become when you stop pretending to be someone I lost." His gaze pierced her, but he wasn't angry. He looked afraid, just a flicker. "Come to the gala with me," he said. "There's a performance. You'll sit next to me." "Wear something that says you're not the help anymore." "I'm not," she started. "Don't say no." He handed her a black invitation sealed with gold foil. That night, she sat in her apartment staring at the dress that had been delivered to her door. Designer sleek, a red so deep it looked like spilled wine. She wore it anyway. The gala was unreal. Cameras flashed the second she stepped out of the car beside him. Paparazzi shouted questions she didn't understand. Liam said nothing. His hand rested on her back with a possessive kind of calm, like he was making a silent declaration. Inside, socialites gawked, whispered, judged. But none dared question her presence. Because she was with him, and Liam Blackthorne didn't explain himself to anyone. At the table, he leaned in close. "Everyone here wants something from me," he whispered. "But you might be the only one who doesn't even know what I have to give." She turned toward him. "And what is that, Liam?" He smiled, and it was terrifying. Everything. The music performance was beautiful, but Elena could barely focus. The tension between them pulsed like electricity. When the lights dimmed, his hand found hers beneath the table. Not demanding, just there, a silent connection. But it didn't stay silent for long. The next morning, her face was in the tabloids. Mystery woman on Blackthorne's arm, new muse or secret mistress. Mara cornered her by the service elevator. "You think you're special?" she hissed. "You're just his new toy." He did this before, with her. The dancer. Elena's breath caught. She was in too deep before she realized he doesn't love. He owns. You should run before he makes you forget where the exit is. Later that day, Liam called her to the study. The photos were already printed on the table. Her face, his hand on her back, her dress, her smile. "You could have warned me," she said quietly. "I don't warn," he replied. "I act. Then I handle the fallout." "What is this, Liam?" she asked. "Because it's starting to feel like I'm being groomed to take someone else's place." He stepped around the desk, close now. "You are not her," he said firmly. "I see that I do. But you walked into my world and rewrote rules I forgot existed, so now I'm deciding what that means. You don't get to just decide what I become," she said. "No," he said. "But I get to offer you something no one else can. And you get to choose." There was a silence heavy between them. Then, "I'm sending you to Paris." "What?" She blinked. "I called a friend at the conservatory," he said. "They'll take you on full scholarship. You'll train again. Dance for real. Stage art spotlight. All of it." Elena took a step back. "You're sending me away?" "I'm giving you everything you lost," he said. "Because if I don't, I'll keep you here. And you'll forget who you are." She didn't know whether to slap him or cry. "When do I leave?" she asked coldly. "Tomorrow." And just like that, it was over. That night, she didn't dance. She packed. She didn't speak to him again. Not when the car picked her up. Not when the jet left the ground. Not when the city faded beneath the clouds. Elena arrived in Paris with a broken heart she refused to admit existed. She threw herself into training, burning through days and nights like her life depended on it. And maybe it did. Weeks passed. Then months. And finally, the night of her first performance arrived. Backstage, she stared into the mirror, her hands trembling. She'd made it without him. Without needing to be someone else's shadow. The music began, and she stepped onto the stage. Under the blinding lights, she couldn't see the audience. Her chest tightened, her limbs shook. But she danced anyway, each move a memory, each spin a silent scream, each breath a betrayal she couldn't name. Then near the end, something shifted. The front row, the shadows broke for just a second. And there he was, Liam. He stood when everyone else stayed seated. He didn't clap, he watched. Just like the first time. And this time, when the final note fell, she didn't bow. She walked to the edge of the stage. He stepped forward. And for the first time in all the months of silence, he spoke. "I didn't come for the show," he said. "I came for you." For a long moment, Elena said nothing. The stage lights still burned above her. The orchestra waited in silence. The audience held its breath as if part of the scene. But Elena didn't move. Not until Liam did. He didn't just wait in the crowd. He walked down the aisle slowly, deliberately, until he was directly beneath the stage. When he looked up at her, he wasn't the same man who had stood in that cold penthouse office months ago. The steel in his eyes had softened, only slightly, but it was enough. "You sent me away," she said, voice trembling, eyes locked on him. "You gave me a dream so you could get rid of me." "No," he replied. "I gave you what you needed. But I never let you go." Her breath caught in her throat. He pulled something from the inside of his coat. A red envelope, exactly like the first one. He held it up. "Read it after," he said. "If you still want to." The theater swallowed the tension like a secret. She turned from him slowly, took her bow to thunderous applause, and vanished behind the curtains. She didn't touch the envelope until she was alone again, in her small flat lit by amber city light through the window. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside, one sentence. "Come back and finish the dance, with me this time." No demands, no promises, just an offer. And below it, a plane ticket, one way. Home. She shouldn't have gone. She knew it, but she couldn't help herself. The second she stepped off the flight, a car was waiting. No name, no note. Just the same driver who used to take her to the mansion every morning. He said nothing during the ride, but she noticed how clean the seat beside her was. Like no one had sat there in months. The penthouse hadn't changed. Except this time, the music was already playing when she entered. Liam was there, waiting in the center of the room. No suit, no steel gaze. Just a man standing on the edge of something he couldn't name. "You shouldn't be here," she said, voice tight. "You read the letter. You sent me away." "I had to," he said. "I was afraid if I kept you, I'd destroy you. That I'd shape you into something you weren't just to keep myself from being alone. And now?" He stepped closer. "Now I know I didn't change you. You changed me. She blinked back the tears. Why now? Why show up at the performance? Because the first time I saw you dance, I thought I was seeing a ghost, he said. But this time I saw someone alive, and I knew I didn't want to spend another day without her. The music shifted, a slow, quiet piano, something delicate and new. Dance with me, he said. She stared at him. You don't know how to. Then teach me. It was clumsy. Ridiculous, even. He stepped on her toes once. She laughed for the first time in weeks, chest shaking as she tried to correct his rhythm. He didn't care. He just held her like she was the last real thing in his life. I don't want to be someone's replacement, she whispered. You never were, he said. You were just the first person I let see all of me, and I didn't even realize it until I lost you. Her fingers gripped his shirt. And if I leave again, I'll follow. Every time. Until you let me stay. She kissed him. This time he didn't pull away. That night they didn't talk about titles, or contracts, or the past. They just danced. And for the first time, neither of them felt like they were pretending anymore. The days that followed weren't perfect. Liam had his ghosts, and Elena had her doubts. The press didn't stop, people whispered. The staff watched her differently, but she didn't care. Because he no longer watched from the sidelines. He stood beside her. When she rehearsed in the studio, he sat in the corner, quietly watching, learning. Sometimes he brought her tea. Other times he asked questions that made her cry in the best way. And every so often, he'd take her hand and say, "Teach me again." They weren't fairy tale perfect. They didn't try to be. They were two broken pieces that didn't fit anywhere else, but somehow fit each other. One afternoon, as the rain tapped gently on the window panes, Liam looked up from his laptop. Do you regret coming back? He asked. She walked over and curled up beside him on the couch. Only that I didn't come back sooner. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. You saved me. I didn't save you, she said. You just stopped hiding. He leaned in, forehead resting against hers. It's the same thing. They never made a formal announcement. There were no staged photos, no press conferences. They just lived. And that was the part that shocked everyone. Because the cold billionaire who once ruled boardrooms with silence and steel had learned how to smile. And it wasn't money that changed him. It was a maid who danced when she thought no one was watching. If you made it this far, you're officially part of their story. Drop a comment if this ending was what you expected, or if you were waiting for a bigger twist. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because more stories like this are coming. The next one, let's just say, the next billionaire might not be quite as warm-hearted. Until then, thanks for watching, and never stop dancing when no one's watching.